Hey, I want to go back to the Grand Canyon. Last video we talked about the Grand Canyon a little bit, and I may go back there again, but I want to go back to the Grand Canyon on this one because there's something else very specific to the Grand Canyon that maybe you haven't thought of. So the Colorado River cut the Grand Canyon over millions and millions of years. But here's the tricky part about that. There's a plateau area where the Colorado River comes into the Grand Canyon. That plateau area stands at 3,000 feet above sea level. The area where it comes into the Grand Canyon, the peak of the mountains of the entry of the Grand Canyon. So the river comes in at 3,000 feet above sea level. The peak of the mountains where the Grand Canyon is 8,000 feet above sea level. So you're standing at 8,000 feet looking down at the Colorado River running at 3,000 feet above sea level through the bottom of the Grand Canyon. Beautiful view. I am sure I've never been there, but it sounds gorgeous. You're looking 5,000 feet down at the Colorado River flowing through the Grand Canyon, which is all fine and good today. Problem is, when the Grand Canyon was not the Grand Canyon and it was just the mountaintop that had not yet been cut millions and millions of years ago, how did the Colorado River at 3,000 feet cut a path over an 8,000 foot mountain? Water doesn't flow uphill. So how did a 3,000 foot, how did a river at 3,000 feet above sea level climb over an 8,000 foot peak to start cutting a path through a mountain? It would have gone around. It is physically impossible for that river to have cut a path through that mountain. Matter of fact, the only way for that to have happened is if the Colorado River was already in place and then a whole bunch of upturned earth and dirt and all that were to have flooded through in water, which just happened to decide to follow an already cut path, and then it started to settle, and that water followed an already cut path, which created a vortex, and I don't know all the proper terms and all that, but it followed the path which was already there in the Colorado River, and that allowed a current to create, pushing all the dirt out of the way, and it settled on either side of the path as the water pushed through, and that created the mountains on either side of the path as the dirt and rock settled on either side of the river. But there's no way for that river to have climbed 5,000 feet over itself to cut a path through the mountains. It just doesn't happen that way. So again, ask the questions that nobody wants you to ask. There you go. I'll leave you with that.